Good evening and welcome to our ordinary council meeting for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder for tonight, the 27th of October 2025, declaring the meeting open at 7:01. On behalf of the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land in which we meet this evening. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Just before we move into the opening prayer this evening, may I have those who are in the gallery tonight please stand as we recognise a moment for a former staff member for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. First of all, in Mr Robert Radosevich, who passed away on the 7th of October 2025. And with that, please still stay standing as Pastor Joseph Yipway leads us in prayer.
First and foremost, Father, we want to come before your throne of grace this evening with heavy hearts for some of us, and those that have known this man, I pray comfort in the name of Jesus. Daddy, this night, O God, as men and women gather to make decisions for our city, we want to pray, O God, that you will continue to saturate them with wisdom, continue to fill them with your counsel. Lord, we know it is not by power nor by might. There are times of contention. There are times, O God, that there is requirement, O God, to know more. I pray, Father, that you continue to give them enlightenment and strength. Father, I pray for everyone here, O God, that their families are strengthened, protected, and refreshed. Lord, if there is anyone struggling here, Father, I pray the comfort of the Spirit and God in their homes, in their deepest times, O God, that you will meet with them. Lord, this day our city is blessed, our city is excited, our city anticipates great things that has been planned by this team. And Father, I pray that those things will come to fruition, will come to manifestation for the betterment of our city. Lord, that love will continue to grow. Joy will continue to grow. Yes, businesses grow. But because of these men and women gathered here tonight, I pray that our city will continue to be blessed. We thank you for grace. We thank you for your mercies that are new every morning. We thank you for refreshing. Bless them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Please be seated. I'll now read the disclaimer this evening. To those who are present and also those who may be tuned in online, please note that this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on Council's website in accordance with the City's public participation in Council meeting policy, which can be viewed on Council's website. All reasonable care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, which we don't have any this evening, remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given if your image is broadcast. The recommendations contained in this agenda are officers' recommendations only and should not be acted upon until Council has resolved to adopt those recommendations. The resolutions of Council should be confirmed by perusing the minutes of the Council meeting at which these recommendations were considered. Members of the public should also note that they act at their own risk if they enact any resolution prior to receiving official written notification of Council's decision. And finally, for those who may be streaming online with us this evening, we are having a couple of technical issues with one of our cameras. However, we are streaming. I'm getting the nod to say that we are still streaming. However, we won't have the centre camera, councillors, this evening to you. Our team are working on that one behind the scenes. Hopefully that's resolved during the meeting. In attendance tonight, Deputy Mayor Terence Winner. Good evening to you, Deputy Mayor. Good evening, Councillor Bodycart. Good evening, Councillor Della. Good evening, Councillor Johnson. Hello there, Councillor O'Donnell. Greetings to you. Councillor Viskovich, good evening to you. Councillor House, good evening. I was just about to say good morning. Councillor Walker-Dunstan, good evening to you. Mr CEO, hello. Director of Governance, Organisational Strategy, Frances Liston, hello over there. Today celebrating her birthday, Director of Advocacy and Strategy, Mia Hicks. Hello, Mia. Gyan Rumboard is our Director of Finance, People and Culture. Hello, Gyan. Adam Streeline is tonight and has been hired in the role of Director of City and Community, not just tonight. Cass Yeager is our Director of Corporate and Commercial with us this evening. Hello, Cass. Director of Engineering is Louis Camporelli. Hello, Louis. Coordinator of Governance is Susie Beamish, who's with us tonight, and Ella Boromai is the Acting Executive Assistant to the CEO, both joining us as well, and we welcome our IT team who are helping support this evening. As mentioned, there are no visitors, there is no members of the press. We do have Kobe, who's one of our staff members with us at the moment from our marketing team. We have no apologies from elected members, we're all present tonight, no apologies from members of staff, and there are no leave of absence. Item 5 on our agenda is response to previous public questions taken on notice. Councillors, we do have one question which was submitted at the 18th of August 2025 Ordinary Council meeting. That response is still being worked through. The response will be provided to Mr Oates via mail before the next Ordinary Council meeting, and that will also be included in your future agendas for when that does take place, so you'll be able to see that. Item 6, public access and public question time. There's no public access. Public question time. I have 3 questions here this evening from former councillor Michael McKay of Boulder, asking the following questions. Question 1, on behalf of Mrs Kylie's Owen of Shop 3, 248 Hannon Street, she would like to ask the CEO, Mr Andrew Bryan, can he fulfil his pledge of more than 2 years ago of an ex gratia payment for the vandalised windows of her shop that were broken due to unsecured pavers during the construction of St Barb's Square. The last time he was asked about the payment, his reply was, I thought it had been paid and would follow it up. To this day, still no payment. When will it be paid? Question 2, in relation to the new toilets in the Markets Arcade, given that St Barbara Square was established to encourage families and the community to enjoy, can the toilets be open all day Saturday and Sunday? If not, can an automatic toilet be installed, which was in the initial planning to go behind the old inner city cafe wall? And question 3, regarding the CCTV transmitter pole that was damaged in the roundabout in Burt Street, will Council investigate reinstating the new pole in a more suitable location as to prevent this happening again? Those 3 questions will be taken on notice this evening. Petitions, deputations and presentations, there are nil. Notations of interest, I have a couple this evening. 8.1, interest affecting impartiality for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder Code of Conduct. Councillor Kirsty Della has an impartiality interest in item 15.5.4, expression of interest, Goldfields Oasis professional rooms, because she has a family member that works for an applicant. Councillors, is there any other impartialities tonight? No. 8.2, financial interest this evening. I have 2 financial interests. One from Councillor Carla Viskovich on item 15.7.2, which is an application approval on page 117. That's the additions and the alterations to the existing childcare centre at 20 Carrington Street. It's a financial interest as the building is a client. Can I please pass that around to Councillor Viskovich for her to sign the bottom? And the second financial this evening is from myself, also for the same item, 15.7.2, additions and alterations to the existing childcare centre at 20 Carrington Street on page 117 due to children attending the centre. Any other further financials this evening, councillors? No, thank you. I have a proximity. Very rare that we get these. 8.3, a proximity interest in item 15.5.3. That is the commercial lease renewal at 304 Hannon Street, Kalgoorlie, because the property is adjacent to one where Councillor Kirsty Della is a director. Sorry, that comes from Councillor Kirsty Della. Any further proximities tonight, councillors? No, thank you. We will accept those for this evening. Item 9, applications for leave of absence. I have one from Councillor Bodicar, who will be absent from the 16th of the 11th to the 28th of the 11th, will be at a conference overseas for her business. Any further leave of absence, councillors? No? May we have a mover to accept Councillor Bodicar? Thank you, Councillor Della. Seconded, Councillor Johnson. No dissent, councillors? Moved by Councillor Della, seconded by Councillor Johnson. With no dissent, that is carried 9-0. Enjoy your conference, Councillor Bodic. Councillors, 9.2, procedural motion to suspend section 9.1 of the Standing Orders Local Law 2013. That is that section 9.1 requiring members of council rise to speak be suspended. Do we have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Seconded, Councillor Bodicar. Any dissent, councillors? Carried 9-0. Councillors, there is a lot of mayoral announcements. Obviously, the last time we met was the 18th of August. I have highlighted just a couple to pick up on the way through. And apologies, this screen here for you, councillors, is out with also the issue that's affecting the centre camera. I'll just go back over a couple of those highlights. One is the first meeting of the City Activation Working Group, which was on the 18th of August, where we reviewed and approved the terms of reference. We're still working through the role of independent chair for that and beginning to develop a framework for governance, public awareness and other operational considerations. On the 22nd of August, myself and Councillor Della attended the RFDS Goldfields Healthcare Centre, which is supported by Northern Star Resources launch. It's great to have another medical service here in the city, and obviously the RFDS just don't fly around the place. They've also now got bricks and mortar here in our city, which is wonderful. We opened officially with Minister Michael on the 29th of August, the Kingsbury Park Youth Precinct opening. That was conducted with several of us. Actually, no, I think it was just Councillor Johnson. You were there at the same time as well. Councillor Johnson, you attended that, didn't you? The opening of the, yes, Youth Precinct. Excellent. I attended the Art Prize on the 12th of September with many councillors and those who were candidates at the time as well. Then the following evening, Kaleidoscope opening. Can I just send out our thanks to the event staff at the city for that, a new event for us here in the city and one that was well received. The CEO and I attended the Wolga convention. It was an interesting convention. We met with Watercorp and also Western Power to raise a couple of items around issues affecting the city. Watercorp was in relation to the tidiness of Mount Charlotte and the reservoir up there, obviously being Watercorp and a facility for them, which we let them know that we'd like to see some further works happening there. One of the talking points with Western Power was their smart LED replacement, which we've heard a lot of. Councillors, it's probably going to go nowhere. That's probably the piece that we've got at the moment. We've got LEDs going into our city. The technology, as advised by Western Power, is that there's not the back end to support the smart LED program that we did know, so that doesn't look like it will progress at this point in time. However, in saying that, the new LEDs that are being installed across the city do have the capability to be retrofitted with additional technology, if you like, in the future if that does come off. The Mayors and President Forum, always an interesting event. Heard a lot about AI there. Wasn't too much really to report back from some of the other councillors. Previously it was the shot hole borer. There's no emerging issues from that now. We also attended the GV Rock dinner. We met with Qantas on the Tuesday of that forum as well. A meeting about the city and where we sit. Obviously, we've got KPMG that are working on a plan for us at the moment for our airport. We also raised the option of returning to an Eastern States flight as well. So the CEO and I had a good opportunity to understand that alongside our Director of Corporate and Commercial who joined us in Cass Jaeger. At this stage, there's probably a little bit more work that needs to be done. In fact, a lot more work that needs to be done for Qantas to come to the party on that. But we remain hopeful. We also had a leave of absence during that period, and can I thank Councillor Della in her previous role as Deputy Mayor for attending several events there too. The PGA, again, some wonderful opportunities to see some great golf here in our city. The course was a treat, helped by 60 millimetres of rain. Again, to Roger and his team, well done. The meeting with Senator Anthony Chisholm, who's the Minister assisting the Minister for Regional Development, and Christy McBain, was another opportunity as well to discuss our water bank and what initiatives the city's taking. So with that, we've got now further follow-ups with the Senator in Canberra within the week. Attended the official launch of Hydromech Engineering, who received a REDS grant. Can I just take also a moment? I know that we did point out Mr. Robert Radosevich and his passing, but he joined the city in 1992 off the back of what was a pretty sad time for his directorate, which is the engineering team. He continued to work for the city until 2016 and dedicated 24 years service to the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and our condolences go out to the Radosevich family. I know that several of the Radosevich family have worked for council as well, so our thoughts and prayers are there, and it was an honour to represent the city there. And can I also make a mention of Mr. Reg Franklin, who spoke as well on his time with Mr. Radosevich. Further to that, we are into graduation season, councillors. I know we love book awards. And it was a great opportunity last week to see the Year 12 class at Eastern Goldfields College on Wednesday night, and then on Thursday, John Paul College as well. I met with Superintendent Kate Collins on Thursday afternoon to address policing matters in particular. We're heading for summer. We know that there may be some issues that pop up. In fact, we don't know that there may. We know that issues at this time of the year are quite prevalent. So that was the first of many meetings, no doubt, with the superintendent to discuss what actions are happening and to understand what police's role is, or what the police role is, I should say. And further to that, the CEO and I also met with ARC Infrastructure today, a new CEO at ARC, Stephanie Unwin, who's previously been at Horizon Power, has only been in the role for 10 weeks and is out on a bit of a discovery tour. There were several other meetings in there, councillors, but that'll all be presented to you. Item 11, confirmation of minutes. Councillors, we have 2 minutes to confirm for you this evening. I don't believe the minutes from last week have been circulated, so therefore they are not up for consideration. First of all, the ordinary council meeting on the 18th of August, a motion to move that we accept those minutes. Thank you, Councillor Viskovich, for moving that motion. Seconded, Councillor Della. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Viskovich? Anything to mention? Former Deputy Mayor. I'm going to get caught out there. I apologise to our current Deputy Mayor. No dissent, councillors. Carried 9-0. Councillors, there was a special council meeting on the 30th of September, which Councillor Della in her role chaired. Do we have a mover for that motion, for that meeting? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconder, Councillor Bodicar. Any discussion from that? No. Carried 9-0. Councillors, there's a motion of which previous notice has been given. Just before I get to that motion, actually I'll ask for a seconder first of all. That motion is from myself, and that is that Council requests the Chief Executive Officer to include in his post-election report a section in relation to complaints by or against candidates during the election process. Point 2, requests the Chief Executive Officer to prepare a report for consideration by GVROC in relation to the strengthening of the enforcement capability of local governments in relation to candidate behaviour during the election period, specifically addressing breaches of the Code of Conduct for councillors, committee members and candidates. And point 3, request that the Chief Executive Officer write to the Minister for Local Government and raise the issues identified through the election process and the specific inability for the local government to take any action until until a candidate is elected to the office of councillor. Councillors, I have put that through as a notice of motion from myself, so therefore I will move the motion. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Bodicar. I will speak for the motion, councillors, and some preamble which has been circulated, but for those who are tuned in and who would be in the public gallery, I'll mention that as well. In recognition of the importance of transparency, accountability and integrity in the conduct of local government elections, councillors and candidates acknowledge the need to strengthen oversight and enforcement mechanisms relating to candidate behaviour during the election period. There were multiple instances where concerns were expressed during the campaign period in relation to behaviour and actions of some candidates, which resulted in reports to council and the returning officer. Accordingly, I believe it is appropriate to request that concerns raised during the recent election process are appropriately addressed and that future elections are conducted with enhanced safeguards and clearer avenues for recourse. These actions aim to support the integrity of the democratic process, upholds the standards set out in the Code of Conduct for councillors, committee members and candidates, and advocate for improved legislative and operational frameworks. Councillors, I was consulted by several members of the public also during the process in relation to behaviours. So based on that information, I've put forward a notice of motion for tonight. Councillor Bodicar. Seconder.
Speak or not? Oh yeah, okay. Can everybody just bear with me because this is a bit of a narrative. In the recent council election of 2025 here in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, several of us who are candidates experienced severe online bullying and emails of the most disparaging nature with all types of fabricated accusations based on hearsay and innuendo. Sadly, this harassment in some incidences did stem from other candidates who were in the same election. Unfortunately, in the 2021 and 2023 council elections, several councillors around the table also experienced the same. In my circumstance, the majority of emails were received through the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder email communications page, where candidates are kept up to date about the election. The perpetrators felt that they could say and do whatever they wanted with total impunity. I feel very sorry for those who were also targeted, especially one candidate in particular, whereby the most disgusting, vile comments about her on a local social media page were posted, unfortunately, by other candidates. This post sat there for over 3 days with hundreds of people reading the content before it was taken down by the administrator. Unfortunately, due to what happened to me personally, I had to seek legal advice and then take action through my own lawyers. Prior to taking action, I reached out to the returning officer, the election, David Roberts, to ask for some kind of direction, assistance and support, and he said he couldn't do anything to address the issue with the candidates. David gave me the contact of the WA Electoral Commission whereby I reported the incidents to their agency. The WA Electoral Commission told me that they could not assist me in any way at all, but to lay a complaint with the CEO of the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, because staff, elected members and candidates come under a CKB Code of Conduct. The CEO told me that the only way the matter could be dealt with, as the Mayor has said, is if a candidate who was involved in a campaign of harassment during the election was to be elected on the 18th of October. And only then candidates concerned have some form of disciplinary action taken by council for their behaviour throughout the election. I then did a fair bit of research into the matter and found that the local government codes of conduct are set by the state government. A code of conduct, as we all know, outlines the expected ethical behaviour for councillors and candidates in an election. While the state provides the framework and requirements, the specific codes are then adopted by individual local governments, such as the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Some could say, well, you nominated and decided to run an election, and you should expect that not everyone's going to like you. I totally appreciate that, 100%. But your families, your businesses shouldn't be attacked, and you don't expect someone to denigrate you with fabricated stories that have the ability to cause tremendous harm within our community. We all know that victims of online bullying can experience significant social isolation and feel unsafe. It can lead to all sorts of emotional and psychological issues for people, and that young people in particular can also have high levels of suicide. But bullying at any age is not okay. Something needs to be done urgently, because the code of conduct in relation to candidates is obviously not worth the paper it's written on. And as a council, we need to show a duty of care to those around the table and to future candidates so that they do not experience the same type of behaviour and have some form of protection. I've written to the Minister of Local Government myself, Hannah Beasley, with evidence of my claims, and I'm awaiting a response. The state government needs to step up and take action on bullying within an election and give councils the power to actually implement their codes of conduct and to discipline those who are involved in this type of behaviour. An election never gives anyone the excuse to annihilate their opponents' reputations, businesses, families and names. So, I think that what the Mayor's putting up with this amendment is really important that we actually deal with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bodica. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. It was fairly distressing to note what Councillor Bodica did go through, and what she surmised there and put down on paper covers it well and truly. The actions of a few, you could be seen as a bullying action. They can come in, they can harass those who are new candidates or candidates that are running again with no fear of any retribution whatsoever. And I think what Councillor Bodica has put in there is something which is very important, that we fix that up. Bullying, intimidation, choosing to run doesn't mean that a member on council or a candidate needs to have a lawyer present or on standby, because the only way that you can stop the continual bullying is by cease and desist, or taking it up in a manner as an issue affecting the person and the member that is causing the issue, or the person that's causing the issue. I fully support what Councillor Bodica is doing. And if I may, Mr Mayor, just asking, just a point of information, council does have legal, councillors are covered by legal. Is there an opportunity in this case, if you're an elected member and you do come up for election, are you covered by legal? Or should we as a council need to be going in and addressing that as well for the well-being of our elected members, for those that do get into council, and for those that get in there for good reason. And that good reason is to represent the community that's voted them in there.
Thank you.
Councillor Botter, for raising it. Oh, and Mr Mayor.
Sorry,
thank you.
just to clarify your question, council has a policy. However, that policy is only in relation to your duties as a councillor. If you are in the chamber and you are under a form that is requiring defamation, for instance, if you are in the chamber doing your role, that particular policy is dedicated to ensure that there is protection for the councillor in pursuing their role as a councillor. It is under a candidacy piece. It's not probably appropriate, that policy at this point in time. However, I'm sure that there's probably a little bit more discussion that we could have, or some other advocacy that we can have to look at that in the future. Can't speak on behalf of council, but that's where your policy sits at the moment, to basically concentrate on your role as a councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just then in with that, with what you're going to be putting through under your motion, there's talk points in there. Could that be placed on the table as some type of protection for candidates and for those who are rerunning, which are all candidates, I suppose?
Thank you.
But it's just a point of discussion.
Point of discussion which I'll get the CEO to take note of as part of his report, which I'm sure he will take that into account in relation to the complaints. Does that make sense for you, Mr CEO? Thank you. You finished, sorry, Councillor Johnson? Yep. Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I agree with what's been said. Issues are that hardly anything can be done in a quick and timely manner. If it's on social media, you've got to hope that the media platform will take it down. That could be days, weeks, and they're probably going to say, well, you've got to be able to verify it's not true. Options available, defamation, but again, that'll take a period of time before it goes through. Another issue, I don't know whether, or an avenue, is a misconduct restraining order. Problem is, there's summons issued, so then they have to allow time. So that could be minimum 4 weeks, 8 weeks before it goes to a court. So the problem is getting it dealt with and done in a timely manner. Finding someone who's going to be able to do that while they've got another job to do can be hard. Will the government put aside somebody to be paid to monitor and accept complaints? I doubt it. And more than likely they'll put them in Perth. And then you're out in the bush and trying to talk to someone via phone or whatever could be hard. So my personal thought is it's the media platform first up is the first port of call to try and get something done. Possibly the government can work with them so that going forward during elections things can be curtailed very quickly. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Speaker against? Speaker for? With no further debate, I will hold my right of reply just to back up Councillor Botica. I think there was one key piece in there, Councillor Botica, as well, that you mentioned that probably we didn't go into detail, but it discourages people from running for council. It's a very, as you all know around the table, it's a very important role within our community, and for those who see what goes on to not want to put their hand up to represent their community because of those behaviours, it's not acceptable, and it's not just our local government. This is a sector-wide issue. Sorry, Councillor House, can you turn your microphone on, please, for that?
Keep forgetting that. Sorry, Mr Mayor, could I get a clarification on your resolution? Just the wording, kind of might have fallen asleep.
Happy to read that. Happy to read that for you. Council point 1, request the Chief Executive Officer to include in his post-election report a section in relation to complaints by or against candidates during the election process. Point 2, request the Chief Executive Officer to prepare a report for consideration by the GV Rock in relation to strengthening the enforcement capability of local governments in relation to candidate behaviour during the election period, specifically addressing breaches of the Code of Conduct for councillors, committee members and candidates. And point 3, request that the Chief Executive Officer write to the Minister for Local Government and raise the issues identified through the election process and the specific inability for the local government to take any action until a candidate is elected to the office of councillor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Could I add to that resolution, just touching what Councillor Johnson was saying regarding the policy? I think it would be remiss of us not to capture that as part of this review, and as highlighted by Councillor Johnson, if there is that possibility that councillors or potential candidates could be protected with this policy, I think it would be worth due consideration.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Councillor
Thank you,
House.
Mr.
We've already debated the motion already now, and the right of reply has taken place. I can't go back to the debate on that at this point in time. However, I will take note of your comment and work through that post-meeting. Councillors, the motion... Is that a staff member or is that a... Feel free. Sorry, councillors. The motion is as put now. There was no display of anyone voting against. However, we will take it to a vote for you this evening. Councillors, all those in favour, please raise your hand. Those against? Carried 9-0. Item 13, councillors. There were 3 items that were circulated to you for what was regarded as a late agenda. I will deal with item 13.11 under City and Community first, under this particular piece. While it's not an urgent business approved by as such, it has come through obviously in the last 3 days, so I'll deal with the matter right now, which is item 13.1 from your late agenda circulated on Friday afternoon. That is under City and Community, the Responsible Authority Report, or the RAR, Workforce Accommodation, Lot 4565 Broadwood Street in Broadwood. Councillors, we have a officer recommendation which is there. Is there a mover for the officer recommendation? Councillor O'Donnell moving that recommendation. Seconder? Councillor Della. Councillor O'Donnell, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When first proposed, this was zoned extensive residential. LPS2 came into force on the 31st of October 23, zoned mixed use. Now determined BX within mixed use zone. On the 17th of February 2025, Council did not support the proposed scheme amendment by the applicant, and I believe we should continue and support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Della.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll also speak against this motion and support the officer's recommendation that proposed workforce...
Sorry, Councillor Della, you're speaking in favour of the
recommendation. In favour of the
recommendation.
officer's recommendation. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, I did go around that the long way. But to clarify, yes, that is what I'm discussing. It is a prohibited use or non-permitted use under the current local planning scheme, and as such it would not be advisable to do that under the planning and development regulations. I think it's also, in endorsing something like this, we're going to actually set a precedent if we do object. The intent is mixed use under the current zone, so we need to support the new zoning in that area. Approving a prohibited use would compromise the orderly and proper planning and set a damaging precedent. So future non-conforming proposals would erode council's ability to uphold the zoning integrity. So the proposal does not satisfy the city's workforce accommodation policy criteria, and council's decision should be guided by the statutory compliance around this area. So I will also support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Della. Speaker against? Councillor House.
I'm not sure if this is a question or clarification, but excuse me, I've still got my training wheels on. Are we asking the question about the resolution for those late items, or are we considering whether to consider the late items?
We are considering one of the late items, which is 13.11, which is the Responsible Authority Report, and that was a decision by myself to accept it as a motion now, as an item now.
As a person presiding?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That was a question. So I'll go with the speaker against. Speaker for.
Yeah, thank you,
Councillor
Mr. Mayor.
Johnson.
I remember this one, coming backwards and forwards and doing what it does. But I think the timeline's something important to have a look at here. All the work done in the background, and I will just read these ones here, as Councillor Donald put, that it was first introduced in March 23, and that was under TPS 1. There was discussion throughout this time as it was in there, that the application was formally lodged and the new planning system was gazetted. So we had a new planning system. There was no decision made, didn't come to council. It got rejected once. After it was gazetted, TPS 2 came into the system, and that was November 2023. It was formally lodged November 2023. TPS 2 came into force on the 31st of October 23. So it was lodged in the TPS 2 time.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Johnson. Sorry, just your technicality. I'm just looking at with the town planning scheme, you mean local planning scheme, just to clarify. Yep, that's all I was after. Thanks.
Okay, so with that there, it's then been presented again at TPS 2 or Town Planning Scheme 2, the latest version we now have. And with that, it was once again refused because the mixed business didn't allow that facility marked as across on our town planning scheme. By the way, the town planning scheme that the state government approved, they approved it. And by them approving it, it means that's what we're flying under. And I remember, and I could be standard corrected here, Mr. CEO, that the TPS 2 town planning scheme, when it went to the state government in its original form, came back amended massively. And when that came back, we then had to live with it because we didn't have any choice. So the
Sorry,
state...
are you asking the CEO a question then out of that?
If
Do you want
I
that
may,
clarified by
yeah.
the CEO? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're correct, Councillor. It did go back to state government. They did make changes. I don't know if I'd say massively, but there certainly were changes that came back that weren't necessarily supported by council.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I suppose it just further makes the point that it's been there twice. They brought it back. We had to change it. It went back. It came back to us. So they've endorsed this whole planning scheme that they want us to fly under. RA itself now has been asked to put this through RA, and by doing that, we're going over the same territory. The great thing about this motion is that we as a city are saying no. The decision is made that we reject that whole form. If you go back to whatever the motion states now, and just for clarity, I read this. Let me have a look. Endorses the recommendations of the responsible authority that the application should be determined for refusal. So we've done everything right. We're just asking them to back up their own game plan. So around this table, that's where it sits. I also may, if I put in here, whether or not newly elected members around this table are aware of the history and have been available to the reports and the submissions that went back to 2023, because it has been ongoing. So I could see that new elected members could have some wondering why and what WARA is and why it works, because it's really featuring all the way through in our decisions. May I just add into that another state government decision that they will be making will be for the CEO to take control of all these planning things. And we need to keep that in the back of our mind as well. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson, speaking for the recommendation. Speaking against, Speaker for, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will also be supporting my councillors around the table in their comments and speaking in favour of the officer's recommendation to not accept this or not support this workforce accommodation through the Responsible Authority report. It has clearly been identified through the report and on numerous occasions to this council that this item does not fit under the local town planning scheme on any level. It has come to council previously and council has said no. And I hope council once again says no to this workforce accommodation application. I also hope this item is not supported by the external to council development assessment panel. Otherwise, I would struggle to see any future value in councils having any local or town planning schemes or any relevant planning policies or requirements if they are to be disregarded by this group at a state level. So I hope my fellow councillors around the table also support this motion tonight, and I hope that common sense does come into play on the next level and we do see what our city wants and what has been endorsed by our community and embraced. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker against, Speaker for. The mover will have the right of reply, which is Councillor O'Donnell, after I say a couple of words, which is also to back up what Councillor Johnson and also the Deputy Mayor have put forward tonight as well, in relation to the fact that there's been legislative change and these items no longer go to a local government. Not just our local government, it's all local governments, obviously, the state government change, which can have some ramifications for our communities that we no doubt all need to be cognizant of. The other factor there as well, as the Deputy Mayor has pointed out, is we have a solid platform for workforce accommodation. This does not fit that particular platform, and that has been the reasoning behind Council's decision from the very get-go for this particular location. The location backs onto some different areas of our city which we need to be mindful of the unique environment that we have, and at the same time be respectful of those who have already put bricks and mortar and put workshops and sheds and all sorts of things in there based on our town planning scheme and our local planning scheme. So I'll be supporting the officer recommendation. Councillor O'Donnell, you have the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, we're all on the same page here in discussing this, and it is disappointing, and I hope that the public realises we can say no to things for developments and it doesn't fit our criteria and it doesn't fit our workforce accommodation policy. But there's always that devil's advocate in Perth who make a decision, and we have to live with it. So hopefully they support what we say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Councillors, there was no dissent from debate. I will put it to a vote. However, those in favour of the officer recommendation, please raise your hand. Those against? Sorry, Councillor House, was that a 4? I didn't see your hand. Councillor House, we're voting on the officer recommendation for 13.1.1.
What are we debating? What are we discussing?
We have discussed and we have concluded the debate on the officer recommendation that would note the attached responsible authority report, which was attachment 3, to be submitted to the Regional Development Assessment Panel in relation to the application reference DAP/23/02585, and point 2, endorse the recommendations in the responsible authority report that the application should be determined for refusal by the Regional Development Assessment Panel pursuant to Regulation 12.5 of the Planning and Development Assessment Panel's Regulation 2011. That is what we've debated. Can I please record your vote, being in favour or against?
Did I abstain because I still don't know what I'm voting on?
You cannot abstain, I'm afraid.
Okay. Well, of course I will vote for a workforce accommodation not to be built, but I don't understand the debate around refusing it. We're refusing it and we're debating it. That's a good thing.
So therefore, your vote is recorded as for the motion or against?
I'm with you, mate. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're voting for you.
Councillor House has indicated his vote is for the motion, therefore it is carried 9-0. Item 13.2 will be from engineering. This is speedway upgrades, 13.2.1. Councillors, you have an officer recommendation there. Do I have a mover of the officer recommendation? Councillor Johnson, thank you. Seconder? Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Johnson, you wish to speak?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. Just going back to the item, that because there are no conforming tenders for the speedway upgrades, the officers now would negotiate directly with proponents to supply as per the rules of governing. To me, a sensible, very sensible way. Congratulations to the staff that have put all this together. And the reason, when you go back and you have a look at the item, the reason we had, and I'll just find it in here, Tender A did not address the whole project and only addressed a portion. Tender B submitted the tender past the tender date, and Tender C did not submit a price with the tender. Just disqualifies everything. So going back to the start again is a wise thing to do.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor O'Donnell, seconder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Exactly what I was going to say, Councillor Johnson said. But my personal opinion, it's disgraceful, these tenders. Tender A did not address the whole project. How unprofessional. There's a tender there. If you can't address the whole project, don't put in. But I tend to think they still put in the hope that this is going to happen where they come back. And then they possibly can do things. Tender B submitted it after closing time, and Tender C didn't put a price with the tender. Did not put a price with the tender. Gee, I'd expect that from the pre-primaries, putting a tender. That is disgraceful. Out of this, I do agree that, yes, the city go back and have a look. I'm hoping that the fencing will come in fairly cheap out of one of them that they can find. And then we can get more of the toilet blocks and get the whole project done within the financial constraints. But I was very disappointed with these tenders. Very disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Deputy Mayor, question?
Question, please, if I may, Mr Mayor.
Go ahead.
Given this was a late item, I just would like to request a clarification, and that is, does the additional cost associated with the city directly negotiating and managing this project come out of the allocated grants, or is it a cost that is incurred and borne by the city?
Very good question. I was just thinking the same thing as well, considering that we have to delay it. Mr CEO?
Yeah, thank you. Through the Mayor. Officers' time has already been committed to it. That's a cost that we've borne as part of helping facilitate this project. That'll be the cost going forward as well. There'll just be some staff time in that. Bearing in mind the discussion around, I guess, total budgets on this project is we will not be putting any cash in of our own. It will just be some officer in-kind support.
That's your question, Deputy Mayor? Thank you. Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker... Point of clarification, Councillor Bodicar?
Thank you. Out of those tenderers, how many of those were local people?
Mr CEO?
Through Mr Mayor to the Director, he might... Two.
Two out of the three was local. Okay.
Thank you. No further debate, councillors? No dissent? Carried 9-0. The third of the late items will be considered under confidential this evening. Councillors, reports of committees at item 14. I have not had a request to take any of those outside of an en bloc. So therefore, an en bloc resolution will be that the items 14.1.1, 14.1.2, 14.1.3, 14.1.4, 14.1.5, 14.1.6, 14.1.7 and 14.1.8 be adopted en bloc. That means that we will be passing that as a motion in just one item. Is there anything that councillors wanted to pull out of that? Councillor House, you wish to pull one item out? Which one?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. The relating to the committees.
That's not included in the this one's just the committee minutes from the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee items.
Sorry, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, that's okay. So, councillors, nothing out of those reports from the Audit and Risk to pull out? Okay, we'll move those all en bloc. May I have a mover for the en bloc, please? Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Seconded, Councillor Della. No dissent, councillors? All those items are passed 9-0. Councillors, just bear with me because we do jump across a couple of items under item 15. The first three require an absolute majority, so they are not included in, the first two require an absolute majority, so they're not included in the en bloc. I've got a alternate motion for 15.2.3, and I also have a financial listed, councillors, for item 15.7.2. So, the en bloc resolution for reports of officers will include 15.2.4, which is the governance framework, 15.2.5, which is the corporate performance reporting, 15.3.1, the accounts payable report, 15.3.2, the statement of financial activity, 15.5.1, which is the commercial lease renewal budget Australia, 15.5.2, which is the commercial lease at Shop 2, 272 Hannon Street. 15.5.3, we have a proximity interest, so we won't be putting that into the en bloc. 15.5.4, we have an impartiality interest, which we won't be putting through the en bloc. And 15.7.1, which is the telecommunications infrastructure for Dwyer Street in South Boulder. Councillors, is there anyone that wanted to pull anything out of that en bloc apart from those items? No? May I have a mover for the officer recommendation for the en bloc, which is, I'll just go over that again just for clarity purposes before I move on. 15.2.4, which is the governance framework. 15.2.5, which is the corporate performance reporting. 15.3.1, the accounts payable report. 15.3.2, the statement of financial activity. 15.5.1, which is the Budget Australia lease renewal. 15.5.2, which is the commercial lease for 2/272 Hannon Street in the Market Arcade. And 15.7.1. Councillor Della, you're happy to still move that? Thank you. Councillor Della, seconder. Councillor Viskovich. Councillors, any discussion? Oh, no discussion, no dissent. They are all carried 9-0. Which takes us to 15.2.1, the elected member code of conduct and elected member handbook for a respectful workplace. This requires an absolute majority. Councillors, you have an officer recommendation which is present. Do I have a mover for the officer recommendation on 15.2.1? Councillor Viskovich, seconded Deputy Mayor. Councillor Viskovich, is there any dissent to this item, councillors? No? I'll carry that through unopposed. Carried 9-0. Item 15.2.2, Council Committees 2025 to 2027. Councillors, you were required to put forward any interest in committees. As of this afternoon, I don't have any changes to the officer recommendation. Is there anyone that would like to nominate, first of all, as part of the officer recommendation? We can change this now from an officer recommendation to an amended recommendation, Mr. CEO. First of all, item 4 is the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. I have nominated for that. Councillor Della, you wish to nominate for that? Anyone else? Councillor O'Donnell and Councillor Viskovich.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Can I have a point of clarification?
Councillor House, go ahead.
You just noted, you just made comment that there was a call for nominations.
Correct.
When did that go out?
That was last Monday night at the agenda briefing. It was advised to anyone who had an interest to send their details through.
That was in the agenda?
That was in discussion. I think Councillor O'Donnell asked that question last week.
Okay, so I'll ask the question again. Was there a specific request that went to councillors that called for nominations for these positions
That was a call that Councillor O'Donnell made last week at the agenda briefing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another point of clarification, more of a procedural issue. How do I move an alternative motion?
At the moment, we don't have a motion that is in play. We are working through the officer recommendation as an alternative. If you wish to foreshadow a motion, should that not be successful, you can foreshadow a motion after we work through the alternative recommendation.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'll fill back in the blanks. I have a nomination from Councillor Della and Councillor O'Donnell for the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. Was there another, Councillor Viskovich? Noting also, councillors, that under the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, all elected members are to be deputies of that committee as well. The committee will be those three at this point in time. So filling in the blanks as we go. Point C would be Mayor Glenn Wilson. Point D would be Councillor Della. Point E will be Councillor O'Donnell. And point F would be Councillor Viskovich. Councillors, was there any nominations for the GV Rock alongside myself as Mayor? Councillor Johnson as a Deputy Member. Any further nominations? Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Both of you have nominated to be Deputy Members of the GV Rock. Point 8 is the Development Assessment Panel with effect from confirmation of ministerial consent to proposed appointments. You do need to be trained for that, Mr. CEO, is that what? Yes? Excellent. Sorry, Mr. CEO, you picked something up with GV Rock, point 7.
Yeah, point 6 is the GVROC. I'm down as a member of that. I'm happy to be a member, but if a councillor would rather do that, I attend every meeting anyway, but if a councillor would rather step in my place, I'm happy to step out as well.
Would you like to move forward then, councillors? Is there any other nominations for GV Rock? Yep. Councillor House.
I would like to nominate Mr. Mayor. I also would just like a point of clarification on memberships for GivRock and just more generally memberships to these committees and their voting rights and how that applies to the Chief Executive Officer. Thank you.
Sure. At GV Rock, those members from the city are given 2 positions. As the CEO attends, the CEO included himself in that alongside myself. Those particular items can be at officer or can be at an elected member level under the GV Rock terms of reference.
Is it supplementary?
Supplementary, you can.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, you're saying that the opportunity exists to have 2 elected members attend and represent the community for significant regional decision-making groups, and we should be considering something to that effect, I would think, Mr.
Correct.
Mayor?
So therefore, under what the CEO has just advised, I'd be taking CEO Andrew Bryan out of point J, moving Councillor Johnson up to a member, adding Deputy Mayor into item K to be a Deputy Member, and putting yourself as point L as Councillor House to be a Deputy Member.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's very kind of you. That same philosophy or principle applies to the other membership where the CEO has nominated or been nominated.
That's the only one the CEO's nominated, put his name to tonight. The liquor record, I apologise, the liquor record. The liquor record there has been Councillor O'Donnell. If Councillor O'Donnell would wish to take that position on as the deputy, then we're happy to do so. If we work that through, if that's okay with you, Councillor O'Donnell, if we delete CEO Andrew Bryan and put Councillor Kyron O'Donnell. Oh, we're working through this tonight, I tell you. Point 8, recommending those for the Development Assessment Panel. It's advised that the 2 councillor representatives are trained. We do have some of those at this point in time. However, training is available to those who do wish to nominate as well. Councillor Johnson, you got a question?
Just a quick question. Are we talking point 7?
Sorry. Under your...
okay, so the numbers are out.
The numbers are out under yours. You'll notice that you've got probably 2.4s. Yeah. I'll go through the whole thing when we populate everybody, so just please bear with me. Are there any nominees for the Development Assessment Panel? Thank you, Councillor Della and Deputy Mayor. Sure. Councillor House, you'd like to nominate as a deputy. Thank you. Any further deputies? Councillor Johnson. Councillor House and Councillor Johnson to add to that. The following members for the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Visitor Centre. Last week we had Deputy Mayor indicate. I must apologise. There was one item that somebody had let me know that they wished to be a deputy of, and that was Councillor Walker-Dunstan did wish to nominate for this one as well. I'll come back to you in a second, Councillor Bodica, but Councillor Walker-Dunstan, was this one of those committees, sorry, that you wish to be part of? Yes, nodding your head. Deputy Mayor has been the chair. I'll add Deputy Mayor to point Q, backed up by Councillor Walker-Dunstan. For point 10, I've nominated for the Regional Road Group. Is there anyone that's keen to be a deputy member? Thank you, Councillor Della. Any that's separate? Thank you, Councillor Della. The following member to the Museum of the Goldfields Advisory Committee. Anybody wish to put forward to that? It's an external from the city. Councillor Bodica, thank you. And point 12, we added in, thanks to the Deputy Mayor, the Youth Council. I'd like to take your nomination, Deputy Mayor. Is there anyone else who'd like to assist the Deputy Mayor with Youth Council? Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Okay, councillors, let's work through this. So the officer recommendation is now an alternative recommendation. That point 1 remains the same, point 2 remains the same, point 3 remains the same, point 4 adds the following names under point C. Mayor Glenn Wilson, Councillor Della, under point D, under point E, Councillor O'Donnell, and under F, Councillor Viskovich. On your agenda it says another 4, but this is 5. Appoint all elected members to be deputies. Point 6, appoint the following members to the Kalgoorlie Liquor Accord. At the moment it's Mayor Glenn Wilson, and deleting H under CEO Andrew Bryan to install Councillor Kyron O'Donnell. Under the GV Rock, point 7, appoint the following members to the GV Rock. Mayor Glenn Wilson, Councillor Wayne Johnson, Deputy Mayor Winner, and Councillor House is point L. Under the appointments to the Development Assessment Panel, appointment 1M is Councillor Kirsty Della. Point N, Deputy Mayor Winner. Point O, Deputy Member Councillor Richard House. And point P, Councillor Wayne Johnson to be deputy members of the Development Assessment Panel. Members for the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Visitors Centre. Point Q, Deputy Mayor. And point R, a deputy member will be Councillor Walker-Dunstan. Under the Regional Roads Group, point A will be Mayor Glenn Wilson, and point B will be Councillor Kirsty Della. Point 11, under the Museum of the Goldfields Advisory Committee, point C, Councillor Deb Bodica. And point 12, appointing to the Youth Council the following: Deputy Mayor, point D, and point E, Councillor Carla Viskovich as a deputy. That is the alternative recommendation. Do I have a mover for the alternative? Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Seconded, Councillor O'Donnell.
Mr. Mayor.
Point of question, Councillor House?
I think so. I just need to get myself up with the terminology. So, sorry, Mr. Mayor. Just a procedural clarification. The recommendation is discussing a element regarding the CEO, regarding disbanding his committee. Do we think that it's appropriate for the CEO to be sitting in during those discussions while we're considering an item that's specifically related to him and his employment?
I am more than comfortable with the CEO being there, as there's no decision being made about the CEO. The decision is being made on the committee that will be, or was, with the disbanding, there to represent council at that particular committee. There's no financial interest in that at this point.
So, supplementary financial? Point regarding financial, that wasn't my point. My point is that the CEO has proposed a resolution to disband a committee that essentially assesses his performance. So I guess ultimately, yes, it may have a financial implication, but I would presume that if, as the CEO, if you've got the structure and you've got a proposal, you would put that to council and you wouldn't no longer influence that decision-making process. So it's a point of order. I think it's worth considering.
Councillor House, would you like to move a procedural motion that the ruling of the presiding member be disagreed with?
Sorry, can you say that again, Mr. Mayor?
Would you like to move a procedural motion that the ruling of the presiding member be disagreed with the presiding member allowing the CEO to be present in the chamber?
That's a lot of words, but that sounds, yes, pretty much along the lines of what I'm saying.
Is there a seconder
Do you
to...
have the screen like we usually see?
Sorry, the screens are unavailable tonight. We've got a technical issue. I do apologise for that, but unfortunately we're working through it. Is there a seconder for Councillor House's procedural motion? Councillor House, your motion is lost. So therefore the CEO does remain in the chamber with the presiding member ruling that. Councillors, we have the recommendation that is there. It was moved by Councillor Viskovich, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. Is there any sorry, Councillor O'Donnell, sorry, lost my train of thought. Councillor Viskovich, please go ahead. If there's any discussion, thank you. Councillor O'Donnell, no discussion. Any discussion, councillors? No, yes, discussion for or against, Councillor House?
Against.
Against the committee recommendation? Go ahead.
I thought I flagged that earlier. Just again, training wheels. It's a bit of direction or advice would be helpful in terms of how we go through procedural matters. But I think I've made it clear that I don't think it's transparent, that this process needs to be reviewed and we need to have accountability. This is about accountability. The committee, as an example, I'm not even aware that I could have nominated the other night. I'm sure that Vanessa has contacted you after.
Sorry, Councillor, please use...
Councillor Vanessa has contacted you after the meeting to ask the same question. So I don't feel so bad that I wasn't aware the nominations were available. But I just find it perplexing that in August of 2022, we've passed a resolution to create a subcommittee for the performance of the CEO, or to assess the performance of the CEO. We're now disbanding that committee. I'm just perplexed as to the justification of that particular item. So if that does get any support to, I'm not sure if I can propose anything, I'm not sure, but to leave all the membership stuff as it is, and we take out number 1, leave status quo. And I think that would be fair and reasonable and not be technically complicated.
Thank you, Councillor House. I'll put that you will put a foreshadowed motion should the motion be lost, that you wish to move a foreshadowed motion which would be the same as the alternative recommendation minus the first point. Thank you. There has been dissent. Is there a speaker for? Speaker against? Point of clarification, Councillor Liddell. Just before you do that, can I just ensure with the Minutes Secretary that they captured the procedural motion, please? That is captured. Thank you. Councillor Liddell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to, I suppose, ask the question regarding point 1 of the officer's recommendation to disband the CEO Performance Committee, Review Committee. We're not disbanding the review of the CEO's performance. However, it will be through another mechanism. Is that correct?
Correct. It will be done through a full council meeting and an ordinary council meeting process, as opposed to having a committee for it, based on the numbers of councillors that we do have and the previous discussions that council have had in regards to that. Thank you. With no further speakers for or against, I'll put the motion. Dissent has been required, so we will require a vote. Sorry, dissent has been recorded, so we will require a vote. Those in favour of the alternative recommendation, sorry, the amended recommendation. Sorry, Mr. CEO. Sorry, Thank you. The mover does have the right of reply. Thanks for reminding me. Councillor Viskovich, do you wish to use your right of reply? No, not taken. Thank you. Councillors, we did have dissent recorded for this item. Those who are, so I'll put it to a vote. Those who are in favour of the amended recommendation, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those against? The motion is carried 8-1. Item 15.2.3, we have an alternate motion from Councillor Johnson. Councillor Johnson, do you wish to put forward your alternative motion, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'm just finding it as we go through here.
Would you like me to read it for you? I've got a copy.
Yeah, if I'll get you to read that for me, that'll be very good. Thank you.
No problems.
It's okay.
The following is the alternate motion provided by Councillor Johnson. That Council endorses the following format as its preferred 2026 meeting schedule format. Week 1 of the month being a concept forum commencing at 6 p.m. of the relevant Tuesday evening. Week 2, the agenda briefing commencing at 6 p.m. of the relevant Tuesday evening. Week 3, ordinary council meeting commencing at 6 p.m. of the relevant Tuesday evening. Week 4, strategic workshop commencing at 6 p.m. of the relevant Tuesday evening. Councillor Johnson, you wish to move that motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Seconder for that motion. Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Johnson, please proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Going through Welga and also taking note of our membership numbers around the table, it became evident that over the many years that I've sat on this council, that getting members at certain times is very difficult. This motion allows us to have an extra day for officers and council elected members to get advice. It also allows council to review their strategies in the way that they'd like to work the monthly or the monthly meetings and the weekly meetings. Just on a side note, it's interesting enough if you get off and you Google what night does councils meet in WA, predominantly it's a Tuesday. If you look at Perth, it's the last Tuesday at 5 p.m. Wanneroo, the fourth Tuesday at 6 p.m. Merredin, the fourth Tuesday at 4 p.m. and the City of Swan, the second Tuesday. And I couldn't find a time for that. So typically it's on a Tuesday night across WA, putting that in there. So I would present this as a way of moving forward and maybe a good starting point for us to have a look at our meeting schedules and see if we can put together meeting schedules which we can all attend, a meeting schedule that we can all participate in. And I hope they have the support from around the table.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Apologies, I was listening to you talking about the amended motion rather than seeing it on there, and I put my hand up straight away. So apologies there. I'm for the sticking to the week 1 concept, week 2 agenda, week 3 ordinary, not the 2 agendas and 2 ordinary council meetings a month. I'm not for that. With the Monday or Tuesday, I've only been to Monday nights in both times I've been on council, and I'd like to hear, I've heard from Councillor Johnson why it should go to Tuesday. I'd like to hear if anybody else is that. At the moment I'm setting my ways Mondays. I've got no issue there, being on the Monday. But it is good too. We're going to now go to 6 p.m. starts instead of 6 p.m, 7 p.m. We're all over the place. And that, so thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. I'll take it that you've seconded it to support it, but you might have been speaking against it, but that's yes, you've jumped in too quick. I still have to keep that there. Is there a speaker against? Speaker for? Sorry, Councillor Della. Speaking against.
Yes, thank you. I refer to the officer's recommendation for the timing that Councillor Johnson has put forward. However, my preference would be for the Monday night meeting, just due to maximise, I suppose, as my position in the Deputy Mayor role, I found that travelling to the eastern states, to Canberra, it was problematic if we were leaving any later than a Tuesday, to give a time to return back within the working week without having to travel over the weekend. So I'm very mindful that although a Tuesday night may be more beneficial for those around the table, I'm very respectful of those who also do the work out of the city, and that includes our officers and their time. Would I also be able to have a point of clarification around the agenda and when that would be available? At this stage, we're receiving agendas at about anywhere between 4 and 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. Would we still be receiving the agenda at that time for a Tuesday meeting?
Mr. CEO, are you able to answer that?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If the meeting date changes, we will review the timeframe for agenda settlement and the process coming forward. We haven't done that at this point in time, though.
Could I just have a subsequent, would that mean that that agenda is coming through over the weekend, or would that potentially mean that it's coming through on a Monday afternoon for a Tuesday afternoon meeting, therefore giving councillors 24 hours to read an agenda rather than 72 hours?
Mr. CEO?
Yeah, thank you. Through the Mayor. As I said, we haven't reviewed that yet, but potentially it could change. We just need to work it through to make sure that the whole meeting cycle works out. But potentially, yes, it could be.
Speaking against. Speaking for? Deputy Mayor?
Just a couple of questions, if I may, Mr Mayor.
Go ahead.
The first one, thank you to Councillor Dalla, I had a very similar question. The second one I had is there an ability to change the meeting schedule at any point if what is being proposed is found to not be of benefit to council moving forward?
I think that is pretty easy done, being a council decision, Mr. CEO. However, how does that work under revoking that council decision if we're underway for 2026?
Thank you. Through to the councillor. Through to the Deputy Mayor. The decision to change council meeting dates during the year can be made. It's by resolution of council. We just need to publicly advertise an amended schedule should we decide to do that at any point during the year.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just questions, was it? Thank you. So, Speaker 4. Councillor Boddicker, do you have a question? Question, go ahead.
Sorry, if we take the meetings to a Tuesday, how much more is that going to give us in terms of looking at the agenda? Did you say? I didn't quite. It's not going to give us anything extra?
At this stage, sorry, Councillor House, thank you.
Yeah.
At this stage, it's unknown as to how much time that would give you. However, it would still meet the legal requirements or the legislative requirements of 72 hours.
Yeah.
However, if we have an agenda briefing the week beforehand, which at the moment we've got on a Monday night, receiving on the Friday before the agenda. So we've got 10 to 11 days at the moment under that process. That may drop to 9, depending on how that process needs to unravel internally. That's for the CEO to manage.
Just clarification.
Question, Councillor House?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to understand, outside of the timing, the schedule, the purpose, the information session, the agenda briefing session, is this what it's referred to? What is the main purpose of that particular meeting? And what is the main purpose of this particular meeting?
First question, your main purpose of the concept forum is for concepts that are within the community to be presented from council staff to councillors and to brief councillors on potential upcoming matters. An agenda briefing is purely going through the agenda where councillors have the opportunity to ask questions to staff. An ordinary council meeting is what we're underway with at the moment, which is our decision-making meeting. and a strategic workshop is looking at strategies from council for our various different assets and buildings or opportunities that we have to work in the future to make things better for the city, and also to receive updates from staff at the same time as well. That's point one for your question. Point two, this particular meeting is an ordinary council meeting, which is a decision-making meeting of council.
Supplementary, please.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor. So just so I understand this, the agenda briefing session is a meeting that is, I guess, allowing the councillors to openly discuss or openly talk about an agenda item, openly speak with council officers, have debate back and forth?
No, no debate. It's only purely questions from councillors to staff getting extra further information on what are the agenda items for the OCM that's coming up, the ordinary council meeting that's coming up.
Okay, yep, that makes sense. So basically, a bit of back and forth in the briefing just to kind of make sure everything's okay. And then this meeting, we decide things, so less back and forth.
Correct. More formal approach in the ordinary council meeting. The agenda briefing is purely a question and answer response. There's no debate, there's no statements, there's no commitment to vote, nothing like that. It's just purely asking the officers for further information if those elected members require it to make their decisions the following week.
And would it be the concept forum or the agenda briefing where you would bring big community issues up with all of council so that we could all be across all the issues and be well informed?
That would be at the concept forum.
The concept forum, okay.
Councillor Bodick, we've asked your questions. I'm going to go back to speaking for the motion. Speaker for, Councillor Viskovich, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From everything that I've heard around the table, I believe that Tuesdays do make more sense. It gives everyone an extra day to review reports properly after the weekend, avoids clashes with public holidays as well, and means follow-up work can be actioned during the same week. I think it might be easier for everyone to stick to a Tuesday at the same time on the same day, and then it's just a lot easier for people to remember.
Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. The Speaker against, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Initially, at the start of the debate, I was very much in favour of this, and while I still completely support the logic around what's being proposed, much like Councillor Della raised, I do have concerns around where the agenda will fit. So unless I really have the clarity, then my default is always going to be to vote no, until such time as I've had that clarity on exactly what's happening. I'd hate to see councillors having to go into an agenda briefing with 24 hours to review a meeting or an agenda and trying to put questions together based on that. So with that at this point, and following the advice from the CEO in answer to the question in regards to is it relatively easy to change this, I won't be in support of a change at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker for, Councillor Bodica.
Thank you. I agree with Councillor Viskovich. I think that she's actually termed that really well. I think that too many times we've had a long weekend and we've had to put the meetings off to a Tuesday anyway. I think Tuesday is going to be a much better standardised day, and it'll also give us a bit more time to be able to look through the agenda, catch up with ratepayers and residents, and yeah, I like the Tuesday.
Thank you, Councillor Bodica. Speaker against? Speaker for? Before the mover has the right of reply, I echo some sentiments from the Deputy Mayor in relation to the logic. I think the logic is there. One thing that has not been mentioned during debate is the community. This is a decision for ourselves. There is no logic here for the community. This is a decision purely to fit in with our own schedules. When I first became elected to council, previous Mayor Ron Jurovich had a briefing session with all those who were considering moving forward into local government. His advice at the time was, if you have something on a Monday night, get rid of it, because Monday night is council night. And I was absolutely devastated that I'd miss out on talking footy. That was that long ago that catch-up TV wasn't even around, so I think it was a VHS. I digress. I understand going to 6 p.m. I think the unity at 6 p.m. is really good. I understand the unity going to 7 o'clock going to a Tuesday night. I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I can't commit to that because I think that it's a decision that we're making for ourselves and not for our community. Our community know already for a long time that Monday night is a council meeting night for people who are in business, who participate in sport, and who are in our community watching and probably tuned in this evening. And while I say that, obviously, there are other local governments, as Councillor Johnson is right, that do move to a Tuesday, and that I'm fine with that. But at this point in time, I haven't had enough input from the community to say you need to move your council meeting nights to a Tuesday night, and that's the only reason why I'm not supporting. I think, like the Deputy Mayor said, it's a logical move, but at the same time, I can't accept that. Councillor Johnson, you have the right of reply.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. That's the whole point of debate around the table, and I think it's a great thing. Just one, public holidays were mentioned. During 2026, there are 7 public holidays. Of those, 4 fall
Point of
on
order,
Monday.
there's more than 6 public holidays in 2026 on Monday nights. Sorry, just to clarify. Thank you.
No, there's more. There's 7 public holidays. Of those, 1, 2, 3, 4 fall on a Monday night. And we have 1 meeting as a council meeting. So that's basically a third will need to be moved in any case. I think also that the officers had no issue with this. We did speak to the officers and there was no issue from where they are. The logic things that probably got me a little bit. The community engages more on the transmission that we stream out there, and I know people watch it religiously, and maybe tonight they will see there is no one in the public gallery. And the only time we get a lot of people in the public gallery is when it's a contentious issue, and it wouldn't matter what night that was. They will be there. Okay, so we're using technology as well. So for us as elected members, we're engaging, we're using our technologies, and we're still getting it out there, which is what the whole thing is. The agenda settlement frame is an unknown. However, we need to get these agendas 72 hours prior. Now, that means councils don't work Saturdays and Sundays. So 72 hours prior would mean that it would still be a Friday or a Thursday. 72 hours, whatever the maths are. And that's still an unknown because public holidays aren't counted. Or not public holidays, weekends aren't counted. That still hasn't been determined what that will be. So with the agenda briefings, following the way we do agenda briefings, and this is where our 72 hours prior, it's really good that elected members get their agenda, and it's really good that we look at those agendas, and it's really good that we come in here, and when we have an agenda, we sit, we listen, we read, and we get information from our officers and our directors. It's fantastic. When you put all that together, logically it makes sense to move to a Tuesday night. We have public holidays, 4 that need to be taken care of. We have councillors around the table that I think would enjoy the extra 1 day after a public holiday, or the 1 day to have their time to go through the information. And the last one I want to put there is the 72 hours will not change the stuff coming out the week before. It would probably make it better because you get it on Thursday instead.
Point of clarification, Councillor Johnson. I think the sums would be that the 72 hours is only in relation to the agenda before an ordinary council meeting. It's not in relation to the agenda before an agenda briefing. It's just a courtesy at the moment that we have the agenda go out on the Friday. Also, part of that, your 72 hours will be 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. That would change the 72-hour period. So as long as councillors had it at 6 p.m. on a Saturday evening, that would be your cut-off, not on a Thursday, under the legislative requirement of 72 hours. Just to pull you up on that.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, for that clarity. So 72 hours is only for ordinary council meetings?
Correct.
Which means well and truly we cover that off The discussion around the table tonight was 72 hours to an agenda briefing. That was a discussion tonight. That was a discussion that has been used. Ordinary council meeting is a week away. We get it well within time. And I advocated a whiles ago that we needed stuff really early prior to an ordinary council meeting, and we've got that. We were getting that ordinary council meeting stuff on a Friday evening, delivered by hand to the door when it was by paper, and we were getting it via our internet access after.
Sorry, Councillor Johnson, I know you're on a roll, but to wrap you up on a procedural at the moment, just keep your right of reply to those comments that were made.
Will. Thank you. Around the table, I think this makes sense. It can be changed. If it needs to be changed because it's not working, I think that's what will happen. That's us around the table. I encourage elected members around the table to support this change.
Thank you. As there has been dissent recorded to this and speakers against and for, councillors, I'll also note that there is no foreshadowed motion. Should the motion get up, it will be lost. Councillors, I'll put the alternate recommendation by Councillor Johnson to the vote. Those in favour of the recommendation by Councillor Johnson, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The item is lost. Therefore, we don't have a meeting schedule for 2026. We'll move on to the next business, as there was no foreshadowed motion. Deputy Mayor?
Just a point of clarification, as this was an alternative motion that was proposed, would this not revert back to the original motion?
Good point. The alternate was lost, so therefore we've got the officer recommendation. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So the officer recommendation was option 2. That was part of your agenda. Please hold.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, while you do that, may I ask a point of clarification?
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Just a point of clarification through the Mayor to the CEO. Mr. CEO, would it be a option now that we're considering the original item that potentially a councillor could raise a foreshadowed motion during this period if they wished?
Through the Mayor, yes, they could.
Thank you. Okay, so we go back to the original recommendation, the officer recommendation, which is option 2 of the preferred 2026 meeting schedule format. Option 2 was fortnightly meetings, an alternative format for council consideration as followed. Week 1, agenda briefing forum commencing at 6 p.m. Week 2, ordinary council meeting commencing at 7 p.m. Week 3, agenda briefing forum commencing at 6 p.m. And week 4, ordinary council meeting commencing at 7 p.m. That was the original officer recommendation. Is there a mover for that recommendation? Point of clarification, we haven't had it on the table yet for discussion, so I will note that. Councillor Della, go ahead.
If we could adjust the officer's recommendation to be for option 1 for all meetings to commence at 6 p.m. as per option 1 in the officer's report.
So we've got an officer recommendation that is there. Mm-hmm. You would be moving an amended officer recommendation, mm-hmm. which would therefore be that council endorse option 1 as the preferred 2026 meeting schedule format.
However, noting that week 3, the OCM is 6 p.m.
Okay, so with that change to 6 p.m, right, just hold on to your hats.
Thank you.
We've had the officer recommendation, however, no one moved the officer recommendation. There was a point of clarification. So with the officer recommendation on the table to be moved or seconded, Deputy Mayor nodding here and he's ready to jump in. The officer recommendation can be put with a foreshadowed amended motion by Councillor Della. Can we? Can go straight there. Excellent. Thank you, because we didn't have the recommendation there. Take a breath. Councillor Della, you'd like to move an amended recommendation, which would be that council endorse endorse option 1 of its preferred 2026 meeting schedule format. Sorry, Mr. CEO, can I get yours back, please? Oh, jeez. Thank you. Option 1 would be the same as 2025, which is concept forum week 1 commencing at 6 p.m, agenda briefing format commencing at 6 p.m. on week 2, week 3 the ordinary council meeting commencing at 6 p.m, and week 4 strategic workshop commencing at 6 p.m. So you have an alternate recommendation, an amended recommendation, sorry. Thank you. Councillor Della is moving that motion. Do we have a seconder? Councillor O'Donnell, thank you. Councillor Viskovich, you have a question. I'll consider your question after debate. Councillor Della, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask councillors around the table to consider the amended motion recommended by officers that we continue with the schedule as per previously, incorporating the week 3 ordinary council meeting to commence at 6 p.m, just to streamline meeting timing and to avoid confusion, as there has been confusion previously, and this will streamline that for future meetings, and also make the point that from a historical point, as you mentioned in previous debate, that council meetings have always been on a Monday evening. When I was elected to council 4 years ago, that was the recommendation I was given, which was to clear your Monday night. So that is my amended motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Della. Councillor O'Donnell, you wish to add?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 100% agree with Councillor Della. I'm not keen on having agenda briefing, ordinary council, agenda briefing, ordinary council. I enjoy sitting and listening to the concept forums and strategic workshops. I come in fresh, if not straight from work, but you come in and we're into it. I'm not keen to sit here for 2 or 3 hours, the potential for an agenda briefing, depending on what we've got, and then go through a strategic workshop and a concept forum after that. So I'm for Councillor Della's motion.
Thank you. Before I open for further debate, Councillor Viskovich, you had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just confirming that we have removed a couple of committees. Is that going to impact anything for having the extraordinary council meeting during the month?
Not really, to be honest. It just means that the agendas will have a little bit of length to them on occasion. And I think the only one that we have, the only 2 that we have, is the CEO performance and also the strategic and general purpose as well. So those items will all come straight to council. And I'm sure that they'll be balanced. I mean, our agendas tonight were up to 25 items. Speaker against? Deputy Mayor, you've got a question. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just confirming that the alternative being proposed is for option 1, not for option 2.
Correct.
We should see it as a single meeting per month, not the 2.
Correct.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, it's the same format that we've got at the moment. On a Monday night, on the week 1 will be a concept forum, week 2 will be the agenda briefing, week 3 will be the ordinary council meeting, week 4 will be the strategic forum. All then move to 6 p.m. for that unity. Speaker against? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll actually be speaking against this amended motion tonight, as I actually feel, as debate has continued and a lot of the comments from my fellow councillors has come to light, that the option 2 being proposed by the city officers would actually be extremely beneficial for us as councillors and for the city moving forward. I feel it would allow for greater efficiencies through our meetings, that if items were required to have some additional time for debate and considerations, they could be rolled into further council meetings, and having the 2 per month would also allow for a greater flow of our council meetings. We could divide a lot of the topics out, allowing greater time on specific items that we need to, and I feel that could flow through very cleanly moving forward from our concept and strategic. So I'd be in support of the officers' recommendation. However, with a change of times, if the amended motion was not successful. But yeah, so tonight I won't be in support of this. Thank you.
Would you like to foreshadow a motion that is the original officer recommendation but changing it all to 6 p.m? Is that?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor.
Roger. Thank you. Councillors, you also have a foreshadowed motion. Speaker for, speaker against. Point of clarification, Councillor House.
Are we touching on what Councillor Della has just proposed, or can I only comment on what Councillor Winner has proposed?
You can't comment on what the foreshadowed is. You can comment on the motion that is put by Councillor Della.
Just a point of clarification with Councillor Della. You mentioned there was some confusion around the proposal. Could I get some clarity on that, please?
Through the chair, I think that question can come to Councillor Della, who's got a right of opportunity. Just do you want to clarify?
It was regarding attendance at previous meetings, Councillor Hulse.
Thank you. With no further debate, councillors, I'll put the amended officer recommendation from Councillor Della, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. Those in favour of the amended recommendation, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4. The amended recommendation has been approved 5-4. Just for clarity purposes, just ensure that governance had picked up those for and against. Yes, thank you. Councillors, we've now skipped through the agenda to item 15.5.3. Councillor Della, you've declared a proximity, so I'll get you to leave the room, please, at 8:42 p.m. Councillors, we have an officer recommendation for the commercial lease renewal on 304 Hannon Street. A proximity has been declared by Councillor Della due to owning a property directly across the road, and Councillor Della has left the room at 8:42 p.m. There's an officer recommendation moved by Councillor Bodica. Seconder, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Bodica, would you wish to speak? Deputy Mayor, you wish to speak? Any discussion? No discussion, councillors. I'll take that carried. 8-0. Can we have Councillor Della back in the room, please? Councillors, item 15.5.4 is an expression of interest, Goldfields Oasis Professional Rooms. We have a impartiality here from Councillor Della in relation to this item. And that is due to a family member being employed there. Can I have a mover for 15.5.4, please? Thank you, Councillor Viskovich. Seconded, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Viskovich, you wish to speak? No. Deputy Mayor, you wish to speak? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to very briefly express my delight that we are moving towards this as a concept within our Oasis Recreation Centre. I think it's a piece that's been missing for some time now, and to be able to offer out some rooms for professional consult rooms is a nice addition alongside our cafe now going through. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Speaker against? Speaker for? With no further discussion, councillors, no dissent has been recorded. I'll carry that 9-0. There are no items under engineering. Item 15.7.1 was already taken care of. Item 15.7.2, additions and extensions to existing childcare premise lot 3397, number 20 Carrington Street in South Kalgoorlie. There are two financial interests in this, one from Councillor Viskovich and one from myself. So therefore at 8:44 I'll depart the room and I'll leave the Deputy Mayor in charge.
Thank you, councillors. So there is an officer recommendation. May I have a mover for this recommendation? Councillor O'Donnell, a seconder. Councillor Della. Councillor O'Donnell, no. Councillor Della? Nil. Any councillors like to speak in favour or against? As there has been no dissent, the officer's recommendation is approved. 6-0. 7-0. Thank you. If we can get the mayor back in, that'd be wonderful.
Councillors, that moves us to item 16 on our agenda, which is questions of which due notice have been given tonight. There are nil. Councillors, we have 2 items to consider as part of our confidential agenda for this evening. May I have a mover to close the proceedings for those 2 items? Moved by Councillor Della, seconded by Councillor Bodica. Can you steal my pen? Did I take it? Thank you. Councillor Della moved. Councillor Bodica seconded. Is there any dissent to that, councillors? We will move into confidential mode, voted 9-0 from Councillor Della and Councillor Bodica. May we please have members of the public depart the room alongside our streaming to be paused while council consider the 2 items. Council considered 2 items under our confidential item list this evening, one being the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee minutes of the 28th of August 2025, and 17.2 of that was also the Local Government Boundary Review submission, which Council has elected to release publicly. Date of the next meeting is coming up in November. Councillor Bodica, your leave of absence tonight will mean that you won't be in attendance on the 17th of November, so enjoy your holiday. For the rest, we will see you for the ordinary council meeting on the 17th of November. And with that, I'll close tonight's meeting at 9:09 p.m. Thank you to elected members, thank you to staff, and thank you